This is Conversations with Mike Sparks.
Are you concerned with the state of America, your state, your community? Then you're in the right place. State Representative Mike Sparks. He and guests are here to talk about local politics, history, faith, and freedom.
All right, listen to Conversation with Mike Sparks, and it's raining outside. All
Hallelujah. We needed
right.
it.
Yeah, we've been needing some rain.
Absolutely.
Top my pool off.
Get your pool done.
Now top it off. I'm gonna close it up. I guess I got in there and swam yesterday.
Have you really? Must be nice to have a pool.
Yeah, it felt really nice. Felt like ice cubes in there, but
Really?
I went for it.
Yeah.
When do you need to winterize that? When you?
I'm gonna run mine all year.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know, I've got a surprise guest that's supposed to be here, but she's not here. What a surprise!
Surprise!
surprise, you know?
Surprise!
Well, anyways, I'm hoping she's going to come walking through that door. She may have just sometimes people forget, you know. So we're just going to have to wing it tonight. Connor, what can we talk about? The Matrix. We're going to talk
Yeah,
about
you
the
mentioned
Matrix.
something about the Matrix. Yeah.
And I don't know nothing about the Matrix. I think I've seen the movie maybe years ago. So all of y'all have seen the movie, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
but like I said, it wasn't one of my. Those kind are not my big favorites.
What
but
do you like?
But I have seen it. Oh,
Well,
really?
it's
Honestly,
Love romance movies or something.
No.
These four boys movies.
No, Roger. Hey,
That's Deliverance, man.
hey,
That was
Mike,
your favorite movie.
Deliverance.
Deliverance.
Hey,
that was
Mike.
yours.
Mike. Roger likes 50 Shades of Grey. No, I'm kidding.
What?
I don't even know what that is.
I don't either.
Anyways, last week we dedicated the show to the late Charlie Kirk, and we played Eric Kirk's message.
She's currently speaking right now at his memorial.
Connor, can we go to that? Can you pull up the Charlie Kirk memorial?
If you go to like foxnews.com or something.
If anyways, I know if anybody knows this stuff, but it's Jeremy Smithson here with us, our trusted intern, or our producer Connor, because this kind of fits their demographic more than I think than ours. I wasn't
What are
really
you
much
trying-
into the fiction, the Matrix, the red pill, the blue pill.
Yeah.
So you know the essence of the movie.
Yeah.
What you talk about it?
Yeah. Really, there's a lot of different takes on it.
The red pill's the truth, right?
If you take the If you take the red pill, you wake up, or
No, you go to sleep. The red pill, you wake up, right?
yeah, and then the whole monologue. The whole monologue is pretty good. Lawrence Fishburne is a fantastic actor. He is a great actor.
But I think the reason this is on my mind is because we've got to seek truth in the world. Where is truth? I don't think sometimes you see it in the media. I think the media they try. I think they've tried a little better the past few months. I think they have to try to be a little bit more fair and balanced. I think one thing about WGNS is, I think you get the truth from whoever's giving it. I think whether it's Brian Barrett or Bart or Scott Walker or Angela speaking or Ed Raymer, it's their version of the truth. I mean, you or me or Jeremy or whoever. Dr. Krause, he's got 80 years of life experience, but sometimes it seems like in life we go down strange rabbit holes, and I think this has been happening in the past few years with whatever side of the political aisle you're on. I think there's a rise of mental health problems.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
What do you think? What do you think, Connor? Your generation seems to have a lot of struggles, don't they?
Yeah, a lot of times, yeah.
What do you think it is? How come? Because you're how old? You're 22?
24.
You're 24?
Mm-hmm.
Why do you think your generation seems to be having a lot of challenges?
This sounds boomer-esque, but a lot of times they spend too much time online.
Oh, yeah,
and they
definitely.
get wrapped up in things.
Yeah.
And sometimes just talking to someone can solve that a lot of times.
Yeah, go ahead, Jerry.
Yeah, and I was gonna say, in a lot of now there's a rise in it now, which is it's a good thing. Not a lot of people of our generation, especially younger ones, they're not spending time in church. some of them might have like in their younger years they may have been raised in the church, but that over time they've just gotten away from it.
Yeah.
Partially because of the people that the crowd that they hang out with. You know, they get. And it happens a lot of times when the transition from high school to college.
Oh, definitely.
Because you're on your own, you're making your own decisions.
Yeah.
You're living with different groups of people. Some like-minded, some not.
Did you stay at home when you were in school?
No. I had my. So here's my whole breakdown of my school journey. I went to Motlow, Tullahoma campus.
Oh, did you the first 2 years in?
I actually didn't do my second year there. I decided, why should I wait? Why should I wait 2 years when I could go ahead and start laying the foundation for a 4-year institution? So I did 1 year at Motlow. Had a place in Lynchburg. I smelled the whiskey vats every morning.
Did you?
Yeah. And then.
Did you stay away from it?
Yeah, actually.
Yeah.
Well, I was 18. I couldn't drink yet.
Oh.
Roger drank, I'm sure, at 14.
But
Old enough to drive, old enough to.
Yeah.
No.
But
Different era.
but yeah. After my first year at Motlow, I went down to Chattanooga. Was there for a pretty long time, and I in the music program it was every sense of the word diverse.
Yeah.
And because of
So what's diverse to you? Explain what's diverse to you.
well,
And why does that matter?
you see a
And
lot.
explain your background. Explain your background. You know, where you were born and your life, your journey's a little different than Connor or than Roger than mine.
Yeah, I was born in the Philippines.
Yeah.
I was born in the Philippines. I am not I guess you could say, native born American, but I was raised here. I was adopted in 1999. I thank my parents. Thank them every day.
So how were you when you adopted? You were
I was adopted not a month. 11 months. They can text me live if they're listening. I don't know. Sometimes they listen. Sometimes they don't. I don't know if they're listening.
my wife listened last week for like the first time.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I was adopted at 11 months. Dad brought me over. He came over to the Philippines, and the story goes that I was brought home, and then at a very young age. So the American way of life is all I know, and
You've never visited Philippines?
we did. We visited. We went over there in 2010.
Did you enjoy it?
We did. Yeah, I learned a lot.
So you don't know any of your relatives or anything like that?
Absolutely not. No.
Yeah. Do you want to know your relatives?
That is a very good question, because I know that my biological father, from what we know from the midwife and the lady who ran the orphanage, we're still friends. We're friends with that entire Facebook. We're Facebook friends with that entire family. The lady who ran the orphanage, she's still running it. Bless her soul. Friends with her sons and her. They adopted a Filipino girl, so I think she's about 17 or 18 now.
Yeah.
But from what we know from the midwife, the lady who ran the orphanage, I don't think my biological father was a good person.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So my biological mother, I know, I'd have to bring in I'd have to dig into the files, but I think there is a picture somewhere in my adoption files that we have somewhere stashed away. But she gave me up for adoption. Reasons unknown. I just know that it's her decision to do that has led me to this moment right now, growing up in the U.S.
Yeah.
So, but yeah.
Well, a lot of times, your background, when you're an infant child growing up, teen, there's still, everyone I think's got some kind of trauma in their life. And I know I probably wouldn't have said that 10 years ago, but my wife and I was talking about a friend of mine, and we were talking about, he's single and he's always kind of chasing women. When you're 50, he may be listening right now. When you're 57, it's time to settle down. Don't you think, Connor?
Yep.
You know what I mean? And anyways, he don't seem to get, I really like this one girl he dated. I think she was sweet, but he likes this other girl. Well, the other girl's kind of the, I don't want to, I've got some issues, but he's kind of like wants what he can't have. And I said, man, that's got to go back to his childhood, because he found out he was his real dad, and his siblings were not his real family. Mm-hmm. And then his mom died of cancer like six months later. And so, you think, man, how does a guy at 13, 14, adjust to all this guy you think your dad, and you got, brothers and sisters, and all of a sudden, hey, this isn't your dad, this isn't your brothers and sisters, and your mom died of cancer 6 months ago. So it's like, bam, the shock in your life, and but we're talking, truth. You're talking about Motlow. I went to Motlow at the 2 years over at Smyrna. I enjoyed it, and then finished up at MTSU, and I like Motlow because it's a smaller college. You got to know a few people, you got to know the instructors.
Yeah.
MTSU's nice. I'm auditing a class now, but it's just so big. It's hard to really, for me, you don't really get to know your instructors.
I think student body wise, just for my frame of reference, I think student body wise, MTSU student body is bigger than the University of Alabama.
You think?
It's
a great college.
Yeah.
I'm in that TV news class, and had a girl today. We were talking about coincidences. I often talk about, I call them synchronicities. Dr. Carl Jung called these, he's the one that coined the term synchronicity. So her and I were talking, and, I often share my faith with students or whoever I know, and talking about the internship program at State Capitol. It's a life changer, and Tiffany Parker, that was one of the producers, she may be listening right now. She was my intern this year. And my former intern, I hired her a few months ago. She was my intern in 2016. She was in one of my journalism, my mass comm classes. And Monica, sweet girl. And the girl told me she got baptized back in October. That was really cool. She's half Latino, and she come back in class. She said, "Man," she said, "you and I," she said, "I started researching you." She said, "We share the same birthday." She said, "You were talking about coincidences."
Really?
So she kind of seen that. Now that may be just a mere coincidence, but one reason I wanted that famous radio talk show host, Pamela Furr, if she's listening, Pamela, you're still welcome to come up here, 306 South Church Street. But we talk about where is truth, and I'm up at State Capitol. We've got lobbyists, we got a lot of liaisons, a lot of folks pushing their agenda, and you have to find truth somewhere in there. And sometimes you're not given truth, but Marty witnessed this, and I've shared this on the radio because, maybe it's not the Matrix as folks know it, but I think that we get these God wink moments in life. I think we have them, but we may not realize what it is. Mm-hmm. But I wanted Marty to call in so he witnessed it. But Pamela Furr, she called me about 4 years ago, and she said, it was just a strange call. She said, "Mike," she said, "do you want to go to the radio show Hall of Fame at Embassy Suites in Murfreesboro?" And I thought, yeah, I've been over it before. I think Bart had invited me over there, and I brought some students from I think my radio news class or something over there. And so I was like, yeah. So I thought, well, I'll see if Marty wants to go. I just thought, hey, see if Marty wants to go. So Marty came, and but I had just voted for the Speaker of the House, and there was 4 choices, and I really liked all of them. But all of them had strengths and weaknesses, So the one, I prayed about it, and I was like, Lord, give me direction on this, because when you're making a vote like that, that's an important vote,
Yeah.
And there's, I'm not saying there's political consequence if you're on the wrong side of the vote, but it's not a choice you want to go look for to go be on the wrong side of the second, I would argue, the second most powerful person in the state of Tennessee, other than Governor Bill Lee. And so I prayed about it, and one guy was good, but I thought he'd be a dictator. And I told him, I said, "Man, I like you, but I'm afraid you'll be a dictator." He looked at me shocked, and I really thought he'd be a dictator because his personality style. I've watched him, but I like the guy. He's real conservative, but a lot of these people get big egos, and the pride gets in their way. So, man, I was fixing to drop the hammer and vote. I was in the meeting fixing to vote. Had the little paper sitting around. So I asked my wife, who should I vote for? And I asked my wife, hey, what do you think, about these things? And she's got a pretty good gut feeling. And she said, vote for Cam. Vote for Cam, C-A-M, Cam. Nobody calls Cameron Sexton Cam. Nobody does that. it's like Big Raj. Anybody ever call it Big Raj or hey RT? Anybody ever call it? You know, it's just like, it just don't fit. You know what I mean? Or JM. You know, or J it would be JS, and nobody calls Cameron Cam, and so and she just said vote Cam, like that, and so the vote come around, and I was leaning towards Cameron. Cameron met us over here at Chili's. We had dinner before the vote, and Cameron's very analytical, extremely intelligent guy. He's not. You can't read him. He would make a great card player. You can read me. You know where I stand on pretty much everything. But Cameron, very analytical, very I don't say shrewd, but just very sharp. And so met with him. He talked about the issues that I care about. You know, the brokenness of our culture. He talked about the fatherless rate. He talked about addiction. The incarceration that I see, just the problems I see in our culture. So he talked a good talk, you know, and people will do that when they want you to vote for him. You know, we all see it, and nothing against Cameron if he hears this recording or is listening. He might be listening right now. And so I voted for Cameron. And so Marty and I go to the radio show Hall of Fame that Pamela Furr invited me to. So a big event, Embassy Suites, WGNS and all their staff sitting up front. I think Dave Ramsey was, the speaker or going to be the speaker. The guy, the voice of the Titans.
Mike Keith.
Yeah, I think he was.
Well, he's now the voice of the Vols now.
Well, he was supposed to be there or something. A lot of famous radio people there. And so Marty and I just sat the far back, you know, which was really, I was probably meant to be there at the far back. So I'm sitting at the back. There's a couple of chairs available. So we're sitting there, and this is back when Marty could walk. You know, Marty hadn't had his injury yet, and I see a man walking around with his plate with his food, and I just said he was looking for a seat. I said, "Hey, man, you're welcome to sit here with us." And so he's sitting beside me. And about a year earlier, I had emailed our leadership, and it's kind of funny, but I was serious. And it was Glenn Cass at the time, and Cade Cawthorn, and I think Cameron and our press guy, and I texted him or emailed him all. I said, "Hey man, I feel like a one-legged man in a ASS kicking contest because we're getting our ASS kicked in the media. We do a terrible job of reaching out to people, and under Cameron's leadership, we've greatly improved. Big time, we've really improved." So I just emailed him, and the press secretary didn't like it. He said, "Hey man, can you just tell me, not the rest of them?" I said, "No, brother, they need to know this. I mean, they know the truth. You know, we're talking about the Matrix, red pill, blue pill. They know the truth. We're getting our butts kicked. You know, we got to improve our communication." And so this man sits beside me, and we get to talking. I say, "Hey man, what do you do?" He says, "Well, a lot of people don't do what I do. I do messaging. I got a recording studio at my house, and I graduated John Bragg school over here and like broadcasting and recording and
School of Media."
I thought, okay, nah, it ain't too much big of a coincidence if you hear, you know. So he knew some of the drama that we had. You know, a couple of these guys are going to federal prison. One got sentenced the other day, and so I was just sitting there talking to him, and Marty witnessed this. I had my phone sitting there, and I asked the man, I said, "Yeah, you know, we had a lot of drama. You know, we just got to improve our messaging." And I said, "Hey, man," I said, "are you a believer? Meaning you're a Christian." I said, "You a believer?" And I had my phone sitting right here like this. And he's to my left where Roger is. Marty is where you're sitting at, Jeremy. Mm-hmm. Marty witnessed this. And I go to grab my phone. I say, "Hey, man, you a believer?" He says, "Yeah." So I took my phone and I go to show it to him. I said, "I prayed for a sign. I prayed for a sign." The sign was Cam on my phone. So I grabbed my phone, and the sign was my wife's text. So I'm showing it to this man. And I said, "Hey, you believe it?" "Yeah." I said, "What's your name?" Connor, guess what his name was?
You can say it. Say what his name was.
What was his name? Guess you know what his name was? Cam.
It was Cam.
Yeah. You've heard this story. Have you ever heard the story?
This is the first time I'm hearing you say
well,
it.
I remember I prayed for a sign, so I just got my phone. Don't know this guy. I'm upset about messaging. You know, I'm kind of trying to find my own red pill, if you will, because where do you find truth at? I mean, was I being truthful when I said we're getting our ASS kicked? We get beat up on messaging, which we really were at that time. We probably still do, but At that time, we really were. And sometimes we give the media bad stuff that makes for great content. But I showed that, and that guy said Cam. And I was like, whoa. I mean, how many people you know named Cam? I mean, there's that football the quarterback, but I mean, Cams. But Marty witnessed that. Speaking of Marty, you there?
I'm here.
Hey, did you get to hear what I just said?
Yeah, I've been listening to it. Hey, that's the gospel, man. I mean, we were both awestruck when he said what his name was.
Yeah.
We really were, because you and I had been talking about the road and what you were going to do, and it was a tough call.
Well, how would you? But like you've been around a long time. You've been around almost a century, haven't you?
Yeah, I might near close.
How long?
But they call it might near close back at the turn of the century.
Yep. Well, but you witnessed. That's what the cool thing about this. You witnessed that account.
I did. I was sitting right there.
And I shared that with Cameron, and Cameron is so analytical. He's to the far end of, like, you got to show him evidence. You got to show him proof. Like he's from Missouri or something, But what was cool is you witnessed that. So that's one reason. Pamela Fur just texted me. She got tied up with the memorial service for Charlie Kirk. But for her to call me and offer me tickets to the Radio Show Hall of Fame was just really out of the norm, because at that time, I don't even know if she even knew I even came to WGNS and done much. I think she just thought, Mike, Murfreesboro, Rutherford County, Smyrna. But I was glad that you witnessed it. Hey, tell us, well, speaking of the Matrix in a sense, you had a really cool event yesterday. Tell us what was going on yesterday.
Are you talking to me or Roger?
Talking to you.
Oh yeah, okay. It was a phenomenal event. I was invited to be the Grand Marshal of the Fall Festival for Laverne.
Yeah.
But it was so, I don't know, Mike. It's like I was sitting there in the car and I was reminiscing about the last 50 years. And then that sounds weird, but it has been 50 years.
And you were on a horse with no name, pulling a buggy, wasn't you?
Yeah.
Were you? Yeah, I mean, that's wild. You were pulling the first mayor of Laverne. I mean, I'm not saying you're old, but that's
Vester Waldron.
Yeah, Vester Waldron. And that's pretty wild. And you got to prove. I mean, most people would never believe that, Marty. They'd be, Marty Lubman. He didn't start the first Old Timers Day Parade or the first Smyrna Christmas Parade, but you really did.
Yeah. And it's I don't know, man. It was so surreal. I'm looking at all these people, and they're all yelling and hollering, and
Yep.
I'm yelling and hollering and waving at people, and I just, I don't know, Mike. I still get goosebumps thinking about it. I really do.
You did a pretty good job on the news, too, there, buddy. I was watching that interview you did. You did all right.
Well, I went into the Matrix when I was talking to her.
Mm-hmm.
You know about this?
That's a little joke.
I know.
No, it was crazy. Well, you're great segue. Go into it. You went in the Matrix yesterday.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, tell us how this
though,
is strange.
She made it very comfortable. We talked about a lot of things that the guy that was filming and her, before the filming started, we were talking about a lot of things we had in common. UFOs, ghosts, fast cars. So, yeah, we got real comfortable with each other real fast.
Well, because that was after the parade, which was 50 years earlier. You helped start this. At the time, Old Timers Day Parade, and now it's called Fall Festival. And so you went back home, and WKRN, I know Nikki McGee couldn't work it. She was off on the weekend. She had how do you pronounce the girl's name that did the story about you?
I can't pronounce.
Man, that's a she's got a tough. It's like a Greek name. Let me see.
It is. I think she did say it was Greek.
Her name
She,
is here. Let me get it. Hope I can get her name right. Her name is Alexia Testropoulos. Is that right?
yeah, I can't do the last. I can do
Testropoulos.
Alexia.
Just Siropoulos. Anyways, Alexia
Yeah.
Siropoulos.
Oh yeah, that's Greek. All
It was
right.
a nice, but it was a nice story. But share what happened. You mentioned the Matrix, and share what happened while you're doing the interview live.
Well, okay, now I was going to go into that.
Go ahead.
I didn't need no prompt on that one, Mike, because that was weird. Okay, I'm talking to her about Mike, and him and being representative and political and stuff like that. And so we're talking about Mike, and the phone rings.
I heard that on the
And who
news.
is it? It's Mike calling while we're talking about him.
I just happened to call.
I seen that on the news. I said,
I just called to check on him, make sure he got home okay, and yeah, it was wild. But I mean, what is the probability of that? That's just
But
it's just
it was bizarre because I looked at the girl that was doing the interview, and I said, "You're not going to believe this." I said, "This is Mike." And I
that was
answered
just
the
so
phone.
crazy. Well, Einstein had a cool quote that I like that said, "Coincidences are God's way of remaining anonymous." And I don't know why they happen, but if folks really want to go down this red pill, this deep dive, start studying Dr. Carl Jung. And like I had a girl in my class one time, I think I shared this with you, Marty. I was in my digital media class with Dr. Raj. In fact, Dr. Raj is going to be on some TV show coming up. I think NBC or something about marketing and branding, that sort of thing. But anyways, he's a TikTok influencer, celebrity, whatever you want to call it. So I just wrote a column for my Tennessee Ledger about the dysfunction I see in our society and our culture. Just the chaos and the fighting and just stupid stuff, like little 7th grade girls fighting over stuff. And a lot of it's just people in politics. It's like real childish, So I see people almost getting in a fist fight over here and like, this is ridiculous. No wonder the country is broken. No wonder you got so many problems when people can't
Well,
have a
in
conversation.
Indianapolis today, they had 5 people were shot.
Indianapolis.
I think 2 or 3. Yeah.
Oh, I'm not surprised. I mean, but y'all know. I mean, Antifa was in front of my house 6 years ago, and I see chaos in Nashville, and it's a lot of this is paid. These people are paid to go disrupt. My argument is, why do I find out who's paying them? That's a culprit you need to go after. But
Well, they're fixing to. Mike,
Yeah.
they're fixing to.
I heard
well, I
that.
hope they do.
Yeah, I heard that too.
I hope they do. Because that's not healthy to a republic. Whether we can disagree or agree or disagree, you got to have a conversation. Not, my wife shouldn't be afraid. I mean, I wasn't even home. I was with General Hastings in California watching the troops. I'd already been warned that, hey man, you're kind of a target. Be careful. And as y'all know, I told my wife my life insurance policies are just in case something happens. And it kind of freaks her out. But she handled it really well when they showed up about 4 a.m. trying to terrorize my family and my neighborhood. She handled it really, really good. I was really proud of my wife. But anyways, had this little girl come up my classroom. This is really cool. And I'm talking about coincidences now. My instructor mentioned Israel, right after the massacre. So he just looked at me and said, Mike, what's your thought? So I got to talk about the most oppressed people in the world are the Jewish people. But they're also, they're a peculiar people, peculiar nation. For them to even exist is a miracle. A little country size of New Jersey that's surrounded by pretty much enemies is a miracle. I mean, how would you like to have a tiny home in your neighborhood and everybody hates you around and they're all armed and, one take you out, one's going to build a bazooka and say he's going to kill you. And, this is what's happening with Israel. So I got to share my faith in class with these students. And there was one little girl that was really outgoing, very engaging. She was from Nepal. And so I just wrote that column in my Tennessee Ledger about people need to be able to have a conversation. People need to be able to let their voice be heard, whether you agree with them or not. And I mentioned the Dale Carnegie program because I went through Dale Carnegie years ago. I think Dale Carnegie's a good thing. You know, it's it talks about just relationships and a little bit of salesmanship and just people. And I don't know how much they get into divisiveness type issues. It's been 20-something years ago, so I went through it. But Dean David Urban is a close friend of mine, and he teaches it, and he believes in it. And he's Dean Emeritus now. And so I just wrote the column about Dale Carnegie. So this little girl comes up after the class, and I said, hey, what has set you apart? She was showing me something on the computer where they get their news, because none of them watch 2, 4, 5, 7, Fox 17. None of them watch news. And she comes up to me, and she says, I said, what has set you apart? You're just, you're just outgoing, you're engaging. And she said, well, I guess it's because I went through the Dale Carnegie program. And it was the next day after I wrote the article. I thought, well, that's peculiar. Then she tells me, she said, I just want to let you know I'm studying Christianity. So then she calls me after class like a month later. She said, hey, just want to let you know I'm getting baptized this Saturday. Little girl from Nepal. I just assumed she was Hindu or something. But I thought, what is that? I called Dean Urban. I said, man, you ain't going to believe this. I said, this little girl completed Dale Carnegie program. I mean, right after I do this article. That's what I call confirmation. The cam, to me, is confirmation. But what I like is Marty witnessed that. And then that phone call, that's just defies probability. I mean, it really does. So how did that, I text Nikki McGee, the reporter. She called me about, I'm coming up there with them. I think it's this Friday. They want me to come to the studio about the choice lanes. And hopefully they bring up the tunnel to Murfreesboro. And hopefully we get that done. It may take 20 years like it did Jefferson Pike, but you got to start somewhere.
Still being worked on?
Elon was sitting with President Trump at Charlie Kirk's memorial service, and former friends said they were discussing the tunnel in Nashville.
Well, I don't think I'm overthinking this. Some people would say, oh, Mike, you're overthinking it. But I challenged one of my professors to come on the radio and for a debate. And he's a great guy. I really like this guy. And speaking of coincidence, he was my probability and stats professor, which I hated that class. I put it off to one of the last classes I ever had to take to finish a degree. And I always said there was a high likelihood, probability I was going to fail that class because it was really difficult. Did y'all enjoy stats? Did y'all have stats?
No, I did not. I did not enjoy it.
It was rough.
It took me 3 tries.
My first day in class, I always sit at the back, and my professor, Keith Claxton, I hope Keith don't mind me sharing his name. He's out of, I think he's out of Shoville. And man, first day in class, I'm on the far back row, and man, he's just dogging out the legislature. I mean, just dogging them out. And he's like, yeah, these state representatives, these legislators. And I'm sitting there thinking, I may not get a good grade in this class. It's already going to be difficult. And then he looks back over at me and goes, hey, don't I know you from somewhere? I'm like, yeah, one of them legislators talking about. He goes, oh, man, let me take my foot out of my mouth. But we end up becoming close friends. But I asked him, I said, hey, man, why don't you come up on the radio? He goes, no, Mike. He said, Mike, you just got to accept. Things just happen. And we just can't explain it. We just don't have an explanation. When I was on WPLN, which is 90.3, Republicans usually don't go on that show. And one of the guy that I seek some counsel from, he goes, man, you sure you want to do this? I said, man, if I feel it in my gut, I feel good about something, I'm going to do it. I said, I don't think they're going to try to trip me up, Like, have you quit beating your wife today? Have you quit beating your wife, Roger? Those kind of questions. And
yesterday,
try to trip you up. Because I've had people try to do that. But they were very fair. They really were. That Blake Farmer seems very fair. They had a nice. I thought it was a nice segment about Charlie Kirk. I thought it was fair and well done. And they had a thing about drug addiction and Megan Barry, who lost her son. Well, those are issues I care about. So I happened to call them and complimented them. And just, hey, I thought it was fair. You left a message, and I just want to thank you for it. And they called me the next day and said, man, we were just talking about this predatory lending, and we know you're
I've
somebody
seen
don't
some
like
on television
that.
On that. You seen that? I just saw that.
I didn't see it.
It might have been Channel 2 or I'm not sure which one of the Nashville stations. And that guy, is it Dennis?
Dennis Ferry?
I think it's him.
Oh, how long ago was this?
Within the 24
was it
hours.
really?
Yeah, they was talking about that, man. They did a little thing about it. I guess it's going to bring it up on the news or whatever.
Well, I wish.
I'm telling you,
but I went on. They know I'm against it, and former Democrat leader Mike Stewart was on there, and he knew that I don't like that stuff. He knew that they cut my mic off years ago when I tried to speak up on it. Yeah, that Kevin Brooks, he's a bishop. That's what makes me sick when people are in the church and they advocate for such BS. I mean, I don't want to use the term word, but I want to, but I can't. But you see people that are in church, man, reverends that advocate for stuff like this, man. That's what's sickening. We're all going to be held. We're all going to have to give an account for our actions one day, and those guys are going to be held to a higher standard. His name's Kevin Brooks, by the way. He's a bishop. He's now the mayor of Cleveland. I remember that guy raising that, and they cut my mic off and tried to get him to explain his bill. Piece of crap bill that just put the boot on people's neck. And anyways, here's what's strange, y'all. I was leaving the station, and the Democrat leader brings up the tunnel. He says, man, before they have a tunnel going to the BNA airport, they need one to Murfreesboro, dude. Y'all the most congested area of the state. And I said, I guess you know my letter to Elon. He goes, what letter? I'm like, you don't know I wrote a letter to Elon Musk? He goes, no. I was like, yeah, man, about a tunnel in Murfreesboro. He goes, I didn't know that, but I mean, what's the probability of him bringing up the tunnel? Just out of the blue.
Slim to done.
Anyways, so you think we're in the Matrix, Marty?
What?
You think we're in the Matrix?
Yeah. I will tell you this, though, Mike, about Nashville. There are tunnels everywhere under Nashville Road.
Oh, I don't believe that.
Okay.
Which
I'm
one?
A Democrat
Where?
If they aren't, how's that?
Where at?
Well, there's one under Broadway. There's one that goes from they all come from the river.
Okay.
And there's one under Broadway. There's one that goes through Printer's Alley. And there's one that goes over to Fatherland Street. Now, I saw the one from the river to Fatherland, and it is huge. You can walk straight up in that tunnel. But
Where's the one?
Tunnel.
Where's the one from the river going to the governor's office that's supposed to be there?
Okay, I'm not that familiar with that. I've heard of it. But the one that goes to the Capitol, is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, it's supposed to be one going to the Capitol.
It is. I know there is one. I'm just not that familiar with it.
I was in the governor's office a few years ago, and I asked Haslam, I said, hey, there's a story about some tunnels up here. And he looked at me like, huh? And he said, well, there is a little area over here. And he kind of pointed over, to it that kind of goes down. I had that situation. We were doing those ghost tours. And I think, Roger, the whole month of October, we're talking about paranormal stuff and, want to have you up, Marty. And had a guy at my Rotary Club showing me of his cameras at home and how he's got doors open and these orbs and crazy stuff going on. William Pratt. I hope William doesn't mind me mentioning on the radio. William, if you're listening. But anyways, we were doing that ghost tour with my wife and I. Man, that was probably 18 years ago, 20 years ago, around the courthouse up here at Ruff County. And I don't know who puts it on, but if they're listening, they're welcome to come up to the station with us next month. And I'm at the far back, and a guy says, hey, we got there's these tunnels underneath the courthouse, underneath the square up here. And he says, these elected officials don't want you to know about it. And my wife looked at me like, why don't you want people to know about this? Because the county commissioner, I'm like, I don't know about this. So I seen Larry Sims
probably
in his
escape
office.
Routes just in
well,
case,
they were trying to argue it was how slaves would go back and forth or something. It's what I think this group was trying to say. And I had never heard about it. And I asked Larry Sims, who Larry knows the square probably better than anybody. And he happened to be in his office. So I said, hey, Larry, you know anything about this? He looked at me like, huh? And he didn't know anything. So this is a life lesson. I went and asked the mayor the next day or two. I said, hey, you know anything about some underground tunnels up here? And he looked at me like, what? They had 3 hordes growing on my head. And then I asked Gary Farley, county commissioner at that time, former state fire marshal. And I said, Gary, you ever heard of this? He says, man, I have heard of that Public Works got into some, when they were putting in some sewer lines or something, that they spotted something, or there's a story about that. Then, you know who I talked to, Marty, after that?
Huh?
You know who I talked to after I talked to Farley? Later that night, I was leaving the courthouse. Guess who I went to talk to and ask questions?
Who'd you go?
The janitor. And the janitor.
Yeah, he knew.
Well, it's a female. She goes, she said, Yeah, come on, I'll take you to him. So we went over here under the old coin building. Remember the coin building up here where you got your tags? Mm-hmm. And she said, come on. And it was like 9:30 at night. And she lifted up a door, and we went down there, and you could see the pickaxe, you know, and you looked like somebody had filled in the tunnel. And I was a little nervous because just me and this woman that I hardly even know, being with any woman
and
you know is
pickaxe.
down there, and a big basement looks kind of bad. And I was like, oh my gosh, what happened if that door shut and, you know, trapped down here? But then she said that the reason they closed it in is because the guys were at the workhouse, have the workhouse crews. You know, they got out somehow, went through a tunnel and escaped and got in some whiskey. I mean, that's what story I know. But if anybody knows that story, better let me know. 525-3198. Had you ever heard that, Marty?
Yeah, oh yeah, I've heard that. Yeah, I remember when they were working underneath the courthouse, and they found entrances to tunnels. But the tunnels, I think back then, they had already been closed off.
You think those are built for the Civil War?
I'm not sure who they were built for, but I'm sure the Civil War people used them.
You're talking about the tunnels under the square?
County. Mm-hmm. Over here. Yeah, have
But
you ever heard
that's,
that?
under the courthouse, it goes across underneath the loop around the courthouse, and they go down to East Main.
East Main. Well, I thought they went down to well, probably there too. The old Coca-Cola plant in Murfreesboro. What's that called? Something Springs. I'm sorry. I know there's somebody yelling in there.
Are you talking about the street?
The former, yeah, off of Broad.
That Discovery down in there.
Discovery. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I heard it went down to the springs down there. There's a tunnel that went
They
down
very
there.
well could have.
You know,
We'll go down there nighttime, get a flashlight, and do some exploring, Mike.
I ain't going down there.
As long as they ain't on railroad tracks and nobody shoots at
Oh my gosh, that's the funniest story. You know, I wanted them to come up on the air. And they don't want to talk about it. Yeah, it's a funniest story, man. Well, let me tell it real quick. They may get mad at me, so I'll have to create a fictional character. There's this guy. His name is Bob. Let's just call him Bob. And he's at this well-known restaurant that's now closed that serves Oriental food. Can't say what the name of the restaurant is, but I used to work there for $1.50 an hour. Walked uphill both ways on the railroad tracks, uphill both ways
In the snow.
And and he starts telling me this story. The former owner's son at this fictional restaurant. His name's Bob, and he said he fell asleep in the little bench. And if folks ever went to this restaurant, it's to the right. It was like a big, you know, like a booth type thing. And I guess he's 14 at the time. He said he fell asleep, and this building had no windows in it. Okay, and he wakes up, and he can't find it because it's pitch black. And so nobody was there. His father, who ran the restaurant, had already locked the door and drove home.
Set the alarm and all, huh?
Yeah, so this guy gets up that you went to school with, I think. Well, he's a little younger than you.
No, we're same age.
Same age. And but when he tells it, oh man, it's so hilarious. And he says he gets up and he's having to walk around and feel his way around the building, and he hits the door handle, which sets off the alarm. So he's walking out of railroad tracks, and the Smyrna police show up. His account is that they just started shooting and asking questions later, and all of a sudden they're like, there he is, pow, he hears a gunshot, pow, pow. And he's running down the railroad tracks. And so I wanted him and his sister, if they're listening, I hope they don't get mad at me. I'm like, hey, y'all need to come up here. She's like, we don't need to be telling those stories. And anyways, to me, it's just so funny. It's got to be told. Marty, you got any stories like that?
Oh no, don't.
Yeah, I got stories.
You got to keep it clean now.
I can't.
Well, Bart's listening. Bart Walker is listening to this show, so we got to keep it
I
clean.
don't want you. One of us has to stay on there.
You know.
You're closest to getting kicked
Well,
off
just
tonight.
be real careful. You know. Anyway, sometimes it is hilarious, but so Marty, you plan on walking here? When you got this new machine that's going to help you recover, right?
Yeah, I invested heavily in a new wheelchair type device, And I sit in it, and then it will literally stand me up.
Really?
And I can walk with it. And I've been working my legs. I know that I can walk.
Yes.
But this new device will literally stand me up. And if I get tired, I just push a button, and it will sit back down.
What's your goal? You got a date in mind that you feel like you're going to start walking?
Oh, I'll be walking by the end of the year with no trouble.
Let's set a
I'm
goal.
actually walking now, but not as free as I want to.
Well,
I can drive my golf cart and stuff like that, so I know my legs are working.
Well, set that goal of, December 31st, and I'll just ask for 100 people to pray specifically to heal your legs and back and to give you the strength, start walking in that faith. So if there's 100 people out there that commit to every day praying for Marty to start walking. Marty, we're going to take a quick commercial break. Thank you, brother. And folks want to see that article, they can find Marty on Facebook, WKRN.com news. And thank you for the little beautiful Nikki McGee and Alexis Trotsopoulos, with the Greek name, the reporters who covered you that told such a great story. Shout out to Mayor Cole and Steve Noe and Graham Coates for having you be the
You did a great
Grand
job,
Marshal.
You did a great job, buddy. We're proud of you.
All right. Well, thank you so much. Y'all have a good evening.
Thank you. Let's take a quick break, Connor. Thank you, Marty.
Marty.
We'll take a quick break.
Hi, this is Allie Dowenhauer with Isaiah 117 House. Isaiah 117 House provides physical and emotional support for children awaiting foster care placement here in Rutherford County. We are changing the way foster care begins, and those kiddos are brought to our house to hang out and wait for a foster family, and they're given everything they need. We support foster children, DCS, and foster families here in Rutherford County. Visit us at www.isaiah117house.com or visit our Facebook page, Isaiah 117 House, Rutherford County.
My wife and I enjoy going by Yard Sale Inc. We usually go to both locations, the one in Smyrna as well as the one in Murfreesboro. A lot of times on Saturday mornings we stop by, and their inventory changes weekly, so you never know what you're going to see, and it's mostly open box. The name fits it. It's exactly that. It's a yard sale. If you don't totally agree with the price, the staff is always friendly and nice and willing to work with you.
That's the Yard Sale store in Smyrna at 111 Enon Springs Road West, in Murfreesboro at 204 South Front Street, and online at bestdealintown.com.
When I say VFW, you probably have some visions of a smoke-filled bar with a bunch of old-timers eyeballing you. Well, the Stones River VFW is doing things different. No smoke-filled rooms, no turning prospective members away, and a strong emphasis on camaraderie and community. We believe in instilling our American values in our young people through numerous programs such as Voice of Democracy, Patriots Pen, Scout of the Year, and VFW Teacher of the Year. The Stones River Post intends on becoming a driving force to help, aid, and assist wartime veterans. So if you're one of those veterans with a campaign medal and you want that sense of purpose that you've been missing, then give our recruiter, Andrew Farr, a call at 615-490-5715.
Hey, I'm Floyd, and I'm inviting you to join me at CR. That's Celebrate Recovery. We meet at Family Worship Center, 3045 Memorial Boulevard on Sunday at 6 p.m. We're a 12-step Christ-centered program that offers help for all the hurts, habits, and hang-ups that's causing you pain. The program works if you work it, and I'm proof. For other CR groups, go to CelebrateRecovery.com and click on the group finder. Hope to see you soon.
Hey, Middle Tennessee, it's Mark from the Safe House. Can I have your attention, please? I have an important announcement. Our president has a backbone. Thank you, President Trump. We sleep better knowing our country is protected. And speaking of protection, criminals laugh when you purchase a fake safe from a big box store. There's no better time than now than to visit the Safe House and see what a real safe looks like. Rebates now through the end of July on select brands. Our brands include Liberty, Fort Knox, and Browning. Drop by one of our locations or go to NashvilleSafeHouse.com. And remember, we don't just sell safes, we sell peace of mind.
AFFI is Middle Tennessee's premier choice for pest, wildlife, and moisture control. They specialize in those difficult and unique cases. You can reach them by phone at 615-300-2395. That's 615-300-2395. Or stop in at 200 Glenrose Lane in Smyrna.
everybody, my name is Marcus Manise. I am the founder and executive director of Strong in My Father Youth and Family Services. Our organization is designed to help young men grown up in homes with our fathers have a better chance at a better life and a better opportunity. Our organization is preventative, so our goal is to prevent kids from going to jail, juvenile, but live out the purpose that God truly has designed for them. For all information on our organization, if you're looking for a mentorship program and your child is between grades 2nd through 9th, we encourage you to go to our website, stronginmyfather.org, for more information. Sign up to be a part of Stronger Sons Mentorship Program. And then we're hoping that this program continue to help your son live out the true dreams that God truly has designed for them.
We're back. We're going to go to the Charlie Kirk Memorial service right now. And who's speaking right now?
It's President
Trump. Okay, let's go to that, Connor.
Sometimes referred to, as my son said, the fake news media, tried to silence Charlie for a simple reason, because he was winning, and he was winning big. He was taking over college campuses, colleges that had, in theory, only very liberal, or as they like to say, progressive. I call them liberal, but they like to call themselves, because it's such a beautiful word, progressive. They're the opposite of progressive, if you think about it. But they were really nasty, and he would go into these colleges. All of a sudden, within 2 years, 3 years, they turned into bastions of conservatism. It was really quite amazing to see. They lied about him because they did not want you to listen to him or to learn from him, because what he was talking about and even preaching made so much sense. Everywhere he went, he won the debates, he won the hearts, he won the minds, and yes, he won the elections for people. He helped us, he helped other people. We won the biggest election in the history of our country, I believe. Charlie Kirk was without a doubt among the most influential figures in the most important election in the history of our country. The election of, that beautiful day, November 5th, 2024. Do you remember that day? It was 9 months ago. What a day that was. I mean, we had a pretty good day in the first one. And I must tell you, on the second one, we had a phenomenal day. But a lot of bad things happened, and now that's not even questioned. They cheated like dogs, but we got them back, didn't we, huh? We got them back. But we owe Charlie a profound and eternal debt of gratitude now, just like Charlie and Erica made Turning Point hot. We are looking at a country that has the chance to attain a level like never before. Tariffs are making us rich again, richer than anybody ever thought was possible. And the only one challenging them are people that hate our country or foreign countries that are paying a price, because they did the same thing to us for years. They took advantage of us, but we're making money. We're becoming richer and richer. And we're taking care of our people better and better when we do that. And we can take care of other countries better and better. But we're doing unbelievably well. The tariffs have really been a hold. The election was big, but the tariffs, because of the election, came in. And remember, other nations do that to us. And Charlie understood that. He saw the money. He saw what was coming into our country, and we can use that for Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, all of these things that we fight so hard for. And that's exactly what's happening. The numbers are incredible. When the news finally came out on election night last November that the race was officially won, came out pretty early in the night. Charlie was live on camera. In that moment, he was overcome with emotion. I've never seen him like this. He was so happy. For a long while, he said nothing. His eyes were filled with tears, and then he buried his face in his hands and he started crying. That wasn't the Charlie I knew, but in thinking about it, it actually was the Charlie I knew, because he had a tremendous heart. He just wanted what was good for our country, and he saw us going in such a horrible direction. Lovingly, Eric, and this was so beautiful, Erica put a MAGA hat on to cover his bowed head. I like that very much. MAGA, we love. Does everybody love MAGA? Make America great again. When Joe Biden used to get up, remember the speeches? We will stop MAGA. We will stop MAGA. You know, he could barely get the words out. We will stop. I said, can somebody inform him that MAGA means make America great again? How do you say you're going to stop it? And Charlie understood that. When Charlie finally looked up and spoke, he smiled through the watery eyes and simply said, I am humbled by God's grace. That was his statement that night. I was watching him. I was very impressed, actually. It showed he had a big heart. Every single American should take a long, hard look at the twisted soul and dark spirit of anyone who would want to kill a young man as good as Charlie. To kill anybody, but to kill a man like this, he didn't deserve this. He didn't deserve this. Our country didn't deserve this. And anyone who would make excuses for it are just out of their mind. Charlie's murder was not just an attack on one man or one movement. It was an attack on our entire nation.
Back. We're back. We're about to run out of time. Just wanted to play that. We gave a shout out to Erica Kirk last week, and sad loss. So folks want to tune into that, just go to Fox News. Anyways, Roger had a few announcements before we end the show. Go ahead, Roger.
Yeah, we got a couple events coming up, Mike, in the Depot District, Smyrna, on Friday night, the 26th, from 6 to 8:30 p.m. be the Depot District Car Show. And on Saturday, we didn't have it last year, but Depot Days is back. So it's going to be Saturday the 27th from 10 to 4. It's going to be all kind of kid games, crafts, food, music, and it's from 10 to 4. And that's and like I said, they really know how to put it on. So
and that's on Front Street, right?
Yeah, it's on Front Street,
okay.
Right there where the depot is. All this is going on where the depot is.
Awesome.
Yep.
And that's about all I got as far
we
as
had a good
announcements.
art show of the day with Ron Alley and that group.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, and like I said, though, man. Oh, and as far as down there in the downtown area, we had a lot of people the other day and knew what was going on, didn't they? They filled us in. Well, yeah, and that was kind of cool.
You know,
it really was kind of cool.
Well, the even though we see unfortunate things like Charlie Kirk's deaths and other things, hardships, there's still light out there. And I watched a good video I shared. It was an African American guy talking about putting Lord Jesus Christ into your life and how he's held him up throughout all his difficulties and challenges. I mean, Roger, you've been through some challenges. We all been through challenges. And anyways, if you don't know the good Lord, put him in your life and watch this memorial that Trump's speaking at right now. Folks, we'll see you next week.